Welcome back. We are still on our politics today with Professor Prof Muoboghare, the immediate past Commissioner for Higher Education, Delta State. Let's go to the politics of Delta State as it stands today. The PDP, which is seen as a big family in Delta State, at least that is what we perceive from the outside. A lot seems to be happening under the radar. Cases in courts, disharmony and discontent within the PDP family. Even a few politicians will continue to deny that. Nonetheless, you are exporting an ambassador to Abuja in the person of Governor Uduaghan Okowa as vice presidential candidate. How will you reconcile the observable disharmony within the state, and how will that affect Project Abuja?
Delta State has been PDP, or PDP has been Delta since 1999. And I do not see anything that we overturn that for now. Yes, with the very poor performance of Buhari as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria under the APC, the presidency for PDP is just for the asking. And we should get it. I think we should get it. Apart from the minor irritants from the new knit Labour Party, you know. But we are not taking it for granted. We are not taking it for granted. But seriously speaking, I do not expect that any right-thinking Nigerian who want to vote for any APC candidate in any of the elections, considering what we have gone through these past 7 years plus. But having said that, when they say, may God bless you, then they work put too. May God bless you, not mean say make you just sit down, and then the blessings go come. You have to work for God's blessings to be manifest in your life. Yes, you are talking of minor disagreements and all that. Some people think they are major disagreements. Like I said earlier, the election now, because of the irritant from Labour Party, is between PDP and the Labour Party. The disagreements could be national, could be state. The garrulous Wike, yes, came, he had a hard fighting second position at the primaries. And just like his friend from Rivers too, came a very close second position in the APC primary. That tells us something about Rivers State. I think they're hard fighting people. They fight hard. They leave the state to go and win convert from outside the state. That's why we have to handle them very, very carefully. His loss actually should not be a problem to the PDP. He has proved that he is a fighter. So he's not just a fighter for his aspiration to be president of Nigeria, he's a fighter for the PDP. And if I was in his shoes, I would relax. I will relax. And then we'll come to the drawing table. But I'm sorry to say he's talking too much. And he could talk himself out of relevance. The way I'm saying it, he could talk himself out of relevance. I love him. I love Wike. Hard-working governor, performing governor. He could be president. Wike could be president of this country, just like Okowa could be president anyway. Wike could be president of this country. If he had won the primaries, certainly we'll go out of our way to vote for him. The primaries were under the auspices of the PDP. And the same party under which auspices he contested the primaries decided that it should be this person. That you came second does not mean it should be the running mate. In fact, it's even dangerous to put the person who came second as your running mate, because you will believe that he will be a better president than the person who won the primaries. But there are other ways of settling people who are known to be hardworking in the party. So I will appeal to Wike, because of the love I have for him, to stop talking and let us seek him out. He must be sought out. That is the truth of the matter. He must be sought out. That is at the national level. Even at the national level, I hear he gave conditions for settlement. This must happen, this must happen. Those ones have not been clarified. So one cannot place premium on them. Then at the state level in Delta State, yes, primaries were done. Some persons felt aggrieved that some other person was not qualified to contest the primaries. At that point, the person who went to court to challenge the other person did not say that primaries were not conducted. Actually, he applauded the primaries. That's why he was bold enough to say, I came second, I should be. So his issue is not with the PDP, whom he believed conducted a very credible primaries, but rather the other candidate he felt that was not qualified to contest. That somebody was not qualified to contest was not an indictment on the party. So the court having taken decision, it was now left for the candidate who felt he was qualified to challenge it at the appeal court, not the party. Because the party has no case here. The candidate who went to court, or the aspirant who went to court, did not say PDP did not conduct credible primaries. So the national chairman of the party should actually be very happy that the litigant applauded the primaries in which he came second. So it was unnecessary for the party to go to court, to the Court of Appeal. Just like INEC decided not to go to Court of Appeal. Because the candidate did not say INEC defaulted in the primaries. The primaries you monitored were creditably conducted. I applaud you for that. Why are you going to Court of Appeal for being applauded? Why should PDP go to Court of Appeal for being applauded? Do you think it's becoming very, very childish to me? Leave the two combatants to sort it out. Whoever the court says is the person, right? But the court, as we know it today, has a candidate for the PDP because there's a declaration that has not been upturned. Okay, but when people decide to say as a party, this is the person, must be the person who go to Supreme Court, it divides the party further. And for the first time, somebody from the Midwest is going to be the vice president of Nigeria. I'm not saying he's a candidate, or he's going to be the vice president of Nigeria. And that's the person of my principal, Uduaghan Okowa, right? And so he and the number one, Atiku Abubakar, are carrying one huge elephant on their heads. And you cannot be carrying an elephant on your head and be digging cricket with your toes, right? It will be overturned. That elephant is very valuable to us. I am for that elephant. And anything that will make Atiku and Okowa to be digging cricket with their toes, I will challenge. Because I'm already looking at our presence in Abuja. I'm already looking at our presence in Abuja. And nothing should stop it. The state is already too small for my governor. He should be heading for Abuja. Leave the state for us for now. Let's sort it out together and report. Let's sort it out and report to you. So one, it was unnecessary for PDP to appeal that judgment. I think Iyosha Ayu derailed by doing that. He should have waited like INEC waited. Should have acted on the letter written to him by INEC. To act that, look, we've removed, bring the name now, let us put it. If Supreme Court overturns it, so be it. Meja was governor, Supreme Court overturned it. Leon was preparing for, Lion was preparing for swearing in when the Supreme Court overturned it. So why don't you just follow what the court has said? That is how I think it should be done. Now, the issue of the principalities and powers in Delta State, whether they are in agreement or they are not in agreement, I have said it and I will always say it. Who are the musketeers in PDP in Delta State? Ibori, Uduaghan, Okowa, Amori, James Manager. Muoboghare used to be one of them, but he fell by the wayside and joined the APC. These people are a court. These people have counted for you are a court. And the relationship between and among them is very cordial. I am close to each of them. I'm very close to each of them. And none mentions the other when they are discussing with an infidel, if I may say an infidel, or a lobber, somebody who does not belong. They do not mention one another's name. So anybody who is getting in between them or getting among them and doing tafia is just wasting his time, right? It's wasting his time. Like what the boys will say, they go take you settle. And I'm never part of it. You know, the number one there is Ibori, who put it all together, and because of whom we are enjoying what we are enjoying now in Delta State, and each governor has built on what every other governor has done. So Delta should happily coast home. And anything that will make the governor not get a sweeping victory, not just victory I know he will get. As vice presidential candidate, he will get the victory. But it must be sweeping, such that Abuja will know that when Delta keys are behind a person, that person clears it. There should be no doubt whatsoever. And the longer this thing lingers, the slimmer will be the victory. I know there will be victory, but I will not be happy if we get 70%. I will not be happy if we get 80% at the presidential elections. It has to be 90-something%. Then we know that we have our stay in Aso Rock. But to say we won by 55% or 60%, people have started calculating. This local government will get 45%. This local government will have 50, we have 60. Why should we be talking about that? In each local government, we should have nothing less than 90-something%. We have the capacity for that. We have the capacity for that. And then I'm calling on the caucus of the party in Delta State. Go and put your act together. This seeming, I use the word seeming very guardedly, this seeming disagreement, though there may be no disagreement, must be proved to the public not to exist. Then we are confident. The longer this thing drags, the worse it is for us. The needle is a very small object, but extremely difficult to swallow. Disobedient or disobedient people are very small objects, but extremely difficult to swallow. We will swallow them all the same, but we might have to face surgery to remove the needle, right? But let us be careful not to get to that end. All this grandstanding, we don't do and nothing go fit happen. Who told you that? A lot can happen. Those of us who belong to my group are saying this lot should not happen. So we fight against it from the very beginning. But while we are doing that, there are those who are not too tutored in these things, but claim to have knowledge of politics. They are the grandmasters of politics. At the end of the day, they are grand nothing in politics. And they can spoil the whole thing for us, but they will not spoil it for us in Jesus' name. Now, for the main character, Uduaghan Okowa, his performance as governor this past 7 years, I will use the word superlative. It's actually superlative. And if performance is a factor to be considered in moving to Abuja, he has scored 90-something% in it as a governor. And you know what Ibori did as governor? For the first time, he opened up the riverine areas by throwing that bridge across the Focados River at Bomadi. Before then, the Yorubas used to have two parables. I'll say them in pidgin. Now, what aside that they escort Ijoma reach, Abi? Because they were riverine people. Once you have an Ijaw visitor and you are seeing him off, once you get to the waterside, as he enters his canoe, you come back because you cannot enter the canoe with him. But now, they escort Ijoma reach his house, they drive reach his house. I mean, a beginning was made by James Ibori. Another parable is, Ijaw Christmas, not they destroy bicycle, now canoe they destroy for waterside. Because even bicycle will not get it to Ijaw land. Just canoe. Abi? But now cars are getting there. Ijaw boys are buying this ugly, expensive car, what do you call it? Homer Jeep. They are buying it. They are doing everything there. Uduaghan built on it. Because there was a bridge across, you could afford to say, okay, we can carry materials and do bridge to do roads to James managers, whatever agencies are donating roads, because there was that bridge thrown across. One governor building on the other. And then Okowa came building on what Uduaghan and Ibori had done. Delta State is beautiful. I mean, very, 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 very beautiful. And any attempt to spoil it because of selfish interest, I will banish it. It is not allowable. I enjoy Delta State. I keep boasting that Asaba is one of the safest state capitals in this country. To most traders in Onitsha have relocated to Asaba. It's just that there are kinds of houses they build, very bad. You build a compound of 12 tenants, and then tenant number 1, number 12 must remove his vehicle before tenant number 12 level can enter and all that. That's not the kind of buildings we do in Delta State. We are too civilized. And so good has Delta State been that in the 2012 flood, they migrated from Anambra to take over our eternally displaced persons camps. Abi? Everybody is a witness to that. I mean, I was seriously in it with the Deputy Governor, then Professor Amos Utrama SAN. We are dealing with the flood together under the directive of the Governor, Emmanuel Uduaghan. As we speak, go to Ukwe Hospital. 80 to 90% of the patients there are from across the bridge. And come to our schools in Asaba, Ibuzo, Okmanam. We built schools for across the Niger. Here they say one man did so well there in Nanisha or in Oka. Did very well as governor. Who told you that? How many schools we established there? The more we establish in Asaba, the more they get filled. Not by Deltans, but from people across the borders. And we must congratulate Delta for that. The drainage in Asaba had been a problem, not now, right from Ibori time, right from the military regime, right from when Delta State was created in 1991, I suppose, when Delta State was created, 1991. It had been a problem for us. Gradually, we are solving it. Now, if the rain falls, and there is a sea gathering of water, in 30 minutes, it is gone. The river Niger can only take so much volume of water at a time. So even if the whole place is open, you see, the water must flow into the sea before another one can enter. But people do not understand. We are in phase 3 or 4, and I can't remember. But we complete the phases. And that drainage will be solved once and for all. It didn't start with Okowa. I'm sure it didn't start with Uduaghan either. The whole thing started with Ibori. You do so much, and that person comes, improves on it. The third person comes, improves on it. When my own governor comes, I know who the governor will be, and certainly from PDP. When that one comes, he's going to improve on it. He will improve on it. So Delta is one big family. Use the term one family. Delta has remained one big family. But there's no way you have a family so closely knit that there will be no disagreement. There must be disagreement. But we have a goal. We have a goal, 2 goals. Goal number 1 is that we must not lose governorship in Delta State to any opposition party, whether disobey or obey. You understand? And then, of course, the vice presidency we must get. And to get it, we must win Delta State conveniently for Atiku Abubakar. We are all articulate. Anywhere you go to in Delta State, we are articulate. We shall deliver. But the party should make it easy for us to deliver. And this one IU is doing Kurukere in Abuja. That's not the kind of national chairman we want in the party. He must sit up. He should understand what is happening across the country for his party. Right? It's not enough to say I'm the party chairman, you have a battalion of soldiers and policemen that accompany you. That's not what you were put there to do. It's to ensure that we do better than we did the last time. And Buhari has helped us. Buhari has made it easy for us to do better. So that's what I will say on that.
Superlative performance, you called it. Well, in our last conversation, you described Governor Okowa's vice presidential nomination as an opportunity to export excellence to Abuja. Let's trace excellence to the home front, and let me bring it to your domain, education. So much appears to have been packed into education. Notwithstanding, there are still drama in some quarters. A case in hand is the agitation for reversal of some government policies, subvention, and all of that. As a signpost to what excellence we should be looking forward to in Abuja, how would you describe the impact of subvention to education in Delta State?
Well, you are aware that ASU has been on strike nationally since February. And that's very sad for a nation. Let me make it clear that there are 3 categories of universities in Nigeria. Those owned by the federal government, those owned by each of the 36 states of the country, and those owned by various private sector operatives. The employer For staff in the federal universities is the president, who is visitor, acting through the governing councils. The employer for each of the for the staff in each of the state universities is the governor, who is visitor, acting through the various governing councils. In Delta State, we have 4 universities. ASU is on strike for various reasons, but when you sum all of them up, it has to do with funding. It has been like that since ASU was found. Inadequacy of funds, inadequacy of funds, inadequacy of funds. But we have not been bold and courageous enough to say this is how funds can be generated for the institutions. I think Governor Okowa had that boldness and courage to say, sorry, enough of this grammar about fund, no fund, no fund. This is how we are going to go. He was aware that for decades, ASU had been crying for university autonomy. Leave us to run our shows. Give us grants and let us run our shows. How can the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan realize that he has vacancy for 2 professors or 1 professor in physics, 2 senior lecturers in physics, lecturer 1 in physics, but cannot engage them unless he had permission from Abuja? How can such a university have international recognition that you have to run to somebody to engage? A professor dies, a professor retires, professor resigns. You cannot replace him unless you get permission. That had been the situation in Delta too anyway, but that has been cured. We've granted autonomy to the tertiary institutions, colleges of education, polytechnic, and the 4 universities. One of the main things they drive at this current ASU strike is end academic allowances. There are certain computations that have to be done. This is what the person should earn apart from his salary. Occasionally, 1 or 2 they will pay after 6 months or after 12 months. From the moment that nomenclature came into university earnings, Delta State has paid, merely spread it over 12 months. So it is paid along with your salary every month for as long as it has existed. That's about the only university paying that in Nigeria. State and federal put together. And the 3 new universities established last year already earned that. The staff in the universities already earned that till this moment that I speak, this Thursday that I speak. They earn it. So if they earn it, what they are asking for in Sokoto, you have in your Sokoto. Where do you go to Sokoto to ask for it? Why should we in Delta State go and meet Buhari? You must pay this, no, you must pay this, when it's not the one paying my salary. Yeah, the University of Ibadan can go and meet Buhari and say, remove us from this centralized pay. If ASU must succeed in this strike, they should not call it off until they are exited from that IPPIS or whatever you call it in Abuja. Not even the UTAs that ASU designed to be operated from Abuja. That's an insult. That's a very huge insult to academics, right? Exit the universities from these civil service-wide financial regulations. They should not be part of it. Give them grant. Give them permission to charge whatever fees they have to charge. And I'm very disappointed that ASU leadership is saying fees must not be charged. The money you are given is not enough. Even after managing to pay salaries, you cannot buy reagents in the laboratories. You keep crying to your alumni association to bring money for reagents and all of that, and say fees must not be. You are the ones saying fees must not be charged. So you continue to remain on strike. You will just remain on strike indefinitely. That is not right. We are all Nigerians, right? We are saying we have identified the problem, or we've identified the challenge. We must suggest ways of doing it. The other one is, okay, all these cars you give to ministers, if you said withdraw cars from ministers, don't pay the big salaries. How much the minister paid? You ask them how much the minister paid, they will tell you. Don't pay the big salaries, the money will be enough. Who told you the money will ever be enough? Sell presidential jet. And so if we sell the presidential jet this year and we give the money to the universities, which one will we sell next year to give them money? Or you think when you just sell once, that one remains like that? We have not put on our thinking caps on this, and that's what the Delta State government has done. You are free. We'll give you your grants to pay salaries, right? Then anything you generate, use it. We allow them to charge their fees. We allowed them charge their fees. There's a government policy coming up now, indigent student, right? I can afford to pay the school fees of my children, right? But my cleaner might not be able to do that. We identified those ones. These ones can get loan. We should start paying back when you get a job. Until you get a job, you don't pay. And the whole thing is supposed to be computerized. Your biometric is there. The moment you get a job, it's also placed. The money goes to your BVN. There's a BVN. Oh, you're earning so much per month. Now we are taking so percentage. It's automatic. It can take 10, 15 years. But whatever is repaid is available for some other persons to use. And in Delta State, we are working out an education endowment fund, or a foundation for education. A situation whereby whatever money that comes is used will lead to poverty. You must invest. You must invest. It is the proceeds from investment that will be available to run the system. There will still be grants anyway. I will give you a typical example. There is TED Fund. TED Fund is not funded by the federal government. The money that goes into TED Fund is everybody's money, federation money. So the federal government cannot appropriate it like that. Then 2% tax from hardworking companies is for education. Then you gather all of this money and warehouse it in TED Fund. And so the people there see trillions of naira coming in. They've not even bothered to design a sharing formula. And let TED Fund never believe that it is doing vice chancellors a favor by saying we give you one faculty structure. You are not doing anybody a favor, because the money does not belong to you in the first instance. And the vice chancellor that you think you are doing a favor to does not even know how you arrived at the money you gave to him. Is it based on the student population? Is it based on staff population? Is it based on difficult terrain? Is it based on the research they are doing? No such formula. One man just sits there, I'm executive secretary. There is a board here. Okay, this man, you're a deputy minister or vice minister or minister of state or minister of region. For being this, you can give out this billions to you. You're free to give out billions. Very childish, very bush, right? I don't believe in that. If this money is coming from the states, like a true federation, that was okay. Whatever comes from Delta State into the education tax net, 50% should be retained by Delta State. Then the remaining 50% goes to the center. Out of what goes to the center, the federal government can retain 20 or 30% to run its show. And then the remaining 20%, if the federal government retains 30, the remaining 20% is shared equally among all the states. The states having had 50% of what they brought. What is now left in the center, take 20% and share among all the states equally. Sharing it equally means you have made provision for the state that didn't get much from the 50%. The states will struggle to ensure that their industries are doing well, their companies are doing well to generate education tax. In that case, we now say definitely whatever is accruing from TED Fund is not come and shop. It's invested in each state's education endowment fund or in each institution's education endowment fund. Now, when you have that kind of money coming in, alumni association is donating, students are donating, right? As they come in, you have huge capital. I use the word capital. The profit that will come to this capital can run a university. Until you do that, nothing will happen. And now the state that would have established the education endowment fund, right, would now have the vice chancellor, the provost, the rectors as stakeholders. So at the end of the year, they come. So from my university, I can see now that when you put it all together, my contribution is 20%. The one from government is for all. But what did each institution contribute? So when you take what each institution contribute and you put it together and it's 100, okay, out of this 100, this was what DERSO contributed. The amount is 20 or 30%. The profit, my own, is by right 20 or 30%. So whether the vice chancellor is at the meeting or not, that money clocks into his account, into the university's account. It's not coming to beg. It's not coming to cringe. It's not coming to grovel. And it doesn't have to be contrite about it. It is my right and I collect it. So the vice chancellor can say, okay, this year, see what I got to. I got 400 million naira. A faculty building will cost maybe 1 point something billion or 2 billion. Let's get a contractor who can do it for a period of, we pay off period of 4 years. There are people who are rich enough. You know that whatever comes is going to that contractor. In 3 or 4 years, you've got your faculty building. And a contractor will want to finish it in 1 year so they can move on. Right? So the institution grows. ISPU, irrevocable standing payment order from the university. This is your money as it comes, take it. There will still be surplus because the following year, more people are paying. More tax is coming in. In fact, tax is coming every month. As it comes, it is invested. My brother, we would have funded education. I know there was a year when I was in basic and secondary education. The government college will get the Old Boys Association, a fantastic body. Each set competes. Oh, this year we are doing this. There was once when I was commissioner, basic and secondary, they spent 200 million naira in that college. The general one, not the individual set. So, and I was just thinking, this is about 10 years ago. If that 200 million naira alone was invested in government college, you get the endowment fund. You know what it would have yielded now? More money would have come from the other groups. They would have been getting minimum 30, 40, 50, 100 million naira every year. It would go into a project in government college. Government is still sending salaries. Government is still sending grants to the institution. That is how education is funded. Not this phone fair, give us for free. Sack commissioners, sack ministers. You do this, we'll get it. Go and bring the money stolen by Accountant General. Let's even assume it's still 74 billion. Is that what you're looking for? So you'll be encouraging people to steal so that when they bring the money, they give it to the universities. Is that reasonable? That is not it, right? So many people are not ready yet. And what has Okowa done about that? Okay, we are going to establish this. But for now, you are autonomous. We give you so much. I can read the figures to you, but it's not necessary. The institutions in Delta State are happy. That to me, there are structures put in place in the universities and polytechnics and colleges of education. But his greatest achievement in this area is the autonomy that is granted to the institutions, what ASU has been fighting for decades. And how am I going to assess him as a vice president when he gets to Abuja? He says, if you could do this as governor, number far down in the scheme of things. As number 2, he should be able to influence the federal government to do precisely this. I, Prof Muoboghare, we assess Governor Uduaghan Okowa as vice president along these lines. You have done this much in Delta State as governor. It can be escalated to the whole nation. It can be escalated to the whole nation. That humongous structure for Thetford will be unnecessary. When each state has its own education endowment fund, then you have one for the federal government, because federal government will have its own share of the money from Thetford. So if you want to employ 2,000 persons, your overhead is at a cost to you, not at a cost to us. Sometimes Thetford has so much money. The next thing they say, oh, we are going to build a national library to cost 300 billion naira. We are going to build this, it's cost 200 billion naira, because there's so much money. And because there's so much money in Thetford, since its inception, I don't think any Southerner has been executive secretary. Once there's money, the person who operates this must come from a particular part of this class where you know that there's surplus money, not to be properly spent. So you just go, you see a vice chancellor, will go to executive secretary. Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. He will keep you waiting. I say, go and meet that consultant contractor. He will tell you what we will give to you. Insult. Big insult. This must stop. And this attitude of, as the money comes, we spend it, must stop. As the money comes, we invest it. So everybody has a share in that investment. And what I get out of the one from government is free for all. But for you to get it from the endowment fund, you must put in something. What you put in will determine what you get from the profit from federal fund. No, not federal funds. From the central fund of the state. The state can decide, okay, each institution, as it's coming, this is your own, it must also go to endowment fund. That is what we also encourage the alumni association. We say, I see money that is invested. Investment gave us 50 million naira last year. If we put in more, we could get 60, 70 million. You go and rest. You will see how Nigerian institutions will compete with the best worldwide. Say you want to be like the best pay fees. But this one that is not the best, wanting to be like the best, should not pay fees. No, you cannot eat your cake and have it. Certainly not. So another reason, apart from, of course, being a friend and wanting to be vice president, I really want him to get there is this education thing. Let him go and teach them how we did it in Delta State. It's for the benefit of all. That is what he is exporting to the center. I will be behind him. It will work. It must work. First 4 years, we'll be there for 8 years. First 4 years, second year, I say, oh, guy, the thing, you've not started, though. It's your steam coming down. You must do something. And I've often told him about this, that no government can provide the needs of any university, polytechnic, or college of education 100%. No. Federal government is pretending. They just come out, we must not charge tuition fees. If you say it is free, it's not that reagents are supplied for free. It's not like electricity is supplied for free or diesel is supplied for free. It means somebody is paying it. So if the university must not charge this money and the university needs the money, tell us where the money comes from. That is how it happens. So you cannot say, okay, University of Ibadan, you have 10,000 students or 10,000 undergraduate students or whatever. What do you need apart from the salary grant we give to you to run the system? So billion naira. Okay, calculate it. Divide it by number of students. For each student, we are paying this. So you pay. Of course, the child has gotten the education for free. The university has charged for its services. The university must charge for its services. Let us not pretend about this. It will not work. There's no alternative. Like Babangida used to say, there's no alternative to SAP. This very SAP, this SAP of education funding has no alternative.
If you've been an astute union leader and the policymaker in the state cabinet, Delta State, under your watch in education ministry, appears to have shifted paradigm in education management. We can see vice chancellors, rectors, and provosts becoming dynamic in this position, entrepreneurial, astute managers, and a whole lot. I would like to know how you got that working in Delta State, despite the dissenting voices in some quarters.
When we say grants or subvention, let's say it costs the university X amount to run, and this run includes salaries, right? Government says, oh, we'll give you subvention for salaries. We are no more paying from center. It's very insulting. Take. The other one, source it. Right? Source it means for your fees, from your water factories, from your consultancies that you do. In some foreign universities, when they want to interview you for the position of president, their equivalent of vice chancellor, they ask you, how do you hope to attract grants or funds to the institution? Again, let me go back to this endowment thing, or foundation thing. You know, Rockefeller is long dead. Ford is long dead. We still have the Ford Foundation. You have the Rockefeller Foundation, assisting institutions. The people are not bringing the money from the grave. It's the investment from the capital that is available, running into billions of dollars, that is shared worldwide. Scholarships are given by the Rockefeller Foundation. They build structures in institutions. They endow chairs. Endowing a chair means you are sustaining the professor in that department, right? From those funds. That is how it's supposed to be. And that's why tertiary institutions in Delta State have applauded it. But we have issues with Ogwashuku. And the management there should be very careful. Otherwise it could be disbanded. Because they don't seem to be telling their staff the true situation. The staff don't seem to know what they generate. And so how can you open your mouth to say this freedom that is given to you want slavery? Something is wrong somewhere. They are being misfed. There's certainly something wrong, and government will not allow it. I repeat, government will not allow that. You say you don't want subvention. From April 1, you have always had the subvention, not the union. We don't send subvention to unions. It's to the institution, right? And the institution has been paying salaries regularly and very religiously. If you don't want it, reject the salary. And I repeat, if you don't want salary paid through subvention, reject it. It comes to your private account every month and you rush to the bank to clean it. believing that it could be a mistake, that it could be wiped, withdrawn later. No. Why do you take it? How can you tell the world that the institution was given money to pay you? The institution paid. And they said, no, Akata General should pay us directly from Asaba. Commissioner for Finance should pay directly from Asaba. Have you heard that kind of a thing before? And then they made one spurious argument that why don't we treat the secondary schools like that? I said, look at yourself. You are comparing yourself with secondary schools and primary schools. Why are you tertiary institutions? So some unionists do not know what the union is all about. They certainly do not know. The national president of ASUP cannot come out publicly to say institution should be on the central payroll. No, now we will laugh at such a person. I repeat, we will laugh at such a person. ASU has been on it. Why are you carrying? If there's an error in your salary at the University of Ibadan, Abuja must correct it too. I know how long it will take to correct it. Suffer ahead. We say, if there's any problem with your salary in Abuja, because I mean the boss, what's my business there? What was my business as Commissioner for Education? Bossa handle. Bossa would handle. If maybe there was miscalculation, not from Asaba. Not from Asaba. And I'm sure the chief executives of those institutions must be laughing at them. Okowa has said it repeatedly. Wrote to thank the governor of Delta State for instituting salary grant or salary subvention or whatever name you choose to give it. That is the best thing that has happened. The vice chancellors of the 4 universities are excited. One of those universities has a payday. His payday is earlier than that of the state government. You see what autonomy means. The last time I heard of payday in the tertiary institutions was when Inako was vice chancellor of Delta State University from 2004 to 2009. 5 years. There was payday. On the 23rd or 24th, you must receive the alert. If it's a weekend, it's earlier than the weekend. We lost it at a point. The governor has reinstated that to the university. You have opportunity to establish your own payday, independent of the state payday. And you say, no, we don't want it. We want to continue to be slave. How can we go back to Egypt? You know, the children of Israel, when they were faced with hunger, when they were leaving Egypt, they told Moses, oh, what is this? At least when we are in Egypt, we are managing to eat a little. Take us back to Egypt. Then when they were faced with the Red Sea, and then the chariots of Egypt were coming. Of course, the same Moses was the person to be hit. Moses, what kind of thing is this? You are this, you are this, you are this. Moses cried out to the Lord. And what did Moses tell the people? Today you shall see the salvation of the Lord. These Egyptians that you see, tomorrow there shall be no more. Abi? These Kurukere people that we are seeing, who are disturbing the system, tomorrow they will not be there. And government is going to be hard. And I mean very, very hard on anybody trying to cause confusion in this peace that we have now got in Delta State. Now, this peace is also creating some challenges for us. Go and check for the JAMB portal the number of persons making universities in Delta first choice, because the session is regular. The session is regular. 4-year program is a 4-year program. It has been on in DESU for years. That tells you that most agitations from unions have to do with funds, regularity of payment of salaries. And because DESU has always had that for almost 10 years now, the sessions in DESU have been regular. What is 10 years? Well, like 15 years. And so that has given them so many persons wanting to come to DESU to study. The thing has now infected the 3 new universities. Oh, so these new universities, to this what they are getting. One group wrote to me while I was still in office as Commissioner for Education. We don't want grants to the universities. I just said, you're not the one to write. Let the Vice Chancellor write. And if you don't want grant, reject the salary paid by the Vice Chancellor. It's not everything you negotiate. And I would tell the Commissioner for Higher Education, it's not everything you negotiate. And that policy of government is irreversible. I repeat, is irreversible. Because many state commissioners called me to find out, how did you pull this with your governor? How were you able to convince the governor to do this thing? They've come to understand it. And some are trying now. Let's see how far they can go. There are some state universities that have not paid salaries for 15 months. We paid in July, before July ended. Abi, that was the last month. The only salary we are owing in Delta State is August. August is not due. So what's the big deal? So that's where we are.
Still on education, I would like you to streamline, Professor. Some quarters are pointing to that as one of the cardinal exports of Delta State. You are abreast with the nagging ASU strike, though Delta State appears to be immune to that. Let me come to you this way. If, for instance, you're saddled with the responsibility of managing the Federal Ministry of Education, how would you manage the ASU strike, knowing what you know now?
The first recommendation I will make to the president is grant full autonomy to the universities. Immediately, and I mean immediately. Remove them from the centralized payroll. Free them to charge fees. Institute students loan board, right? Institute scholarship for indigent students. And watch, in 3 months, you start seeing results. Of course, there will be protests. We cannot pay, we'll not go pay, we'll not go pay. All right, we will pay. You will pay. Because the people you compare yourselves with, this is what they also do in other countries. Yes, we are charging this. It's not everybody that has inability to pay. There are many Nigerians who can pay school fees for their children. Don't tell me a principal of a secondary school cannot pay school fees for his or her children. No. Because we are talking of elite in Nigeria. Oh, there will be revolution. The elites will be killed. I keep laughing. Elites they go kill. They will kill me as a professor. They will kill me as a commissioner. They will kill you as a principal. Kill you as a lecturer. Kill you as a secondary school teacher. Because in the village, you are the oppressors. These ones are all elites. You should be able to pay the school fees of your child at the tertiary level. Right? So it must start somewhere. We are too scared to take decisions. Anything done by the federal government outside granting autonomy to the universities and reverting to giving them grants as it used to be in those days will lead to a reoccurring crisis. And you can go and borrow money now and pay what is due. How do you do it next year? How do you do it next year? Let us not pretend. Let us be true to ourselves. Minister of Education, do you have the funds? This thing you have put upon your head. So if institutions of higher learning charge fees, whatever government saves from that will be plowed into basic education. Basic education by definition is from primary school up to JS3. That's basic education, which should be free. The more money we go into basic education, you owe every Nigerian basic education. You do not owe every Nigerian tertiary education. You don't. But you owe every Nigerian basic education. But for tertiary education, you create the enabling environment. And either you walk into a federal university, or you walk into a state university, or a private university, depending on which one you can afford. But even if you are going to a private university that charges millions, there are also scholarships for such. There are also scholarships for such. You do so well, some of them say, oh, this person scored the highest in JAMB, medicine, scholarship. Those things come, but they are not common now because we are not giving them opportunity to blossom. There is too much pretense in this country. After the high talk on radio and television, they come back home, this is not the correct thing to do. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, that is what I say publicly is what I will also say privately. Every other thing, we are parrying.
Last conversation,
yeah.
One conversation, if I may bring it up to speed here, you have maintained, articulated,
yes,
the politics as it is pulled along this far. How do you see the APC, the PDP, the NN,
Labour Party,
and the rest playing out?
APC, I will knock out first, because Buhari has helped us to campaign against APC by his actions. So it's actually between Atiku and Peter Obi. They are too far apart. The two of them are too far apart. Atiku is just up there, Obi is it. And like I said earlier, the presidency is for Atiku to pick. the presidency is for Atiku to pick. So that joint ticket of Atiku Okowa, fantastic, right? But it's not enough to say I want my state as vice presidential candidate. What I want is I swept my state. And the action towards sweeping Delta State starts now. It's not waiting for Supreme Court. The action towards sweeping Delta State starts now. The earlier, the better. As they are doing articulate, we are doing articulate, we should be doing governorate. I don't want to mention any name now, we should be doing governorate. In my mind, I know who will be governor of Delta State. I know who will not be governor of Delta State, right? But the earlier everybody attune themselves to this reality, the better for us.
What will you advise Deltans on government policies and electioneering?
Government policies are meant to be executed. In the process of executing these policies, in the interest of the public, we could step on some toes because of the greatest good for the largest number. It should be understood like that. In doing a bridge, some houses must go. In doing a road, some houses must go. In building schools, some land must be acquired by government. And in ensuring peace, so criminal elements must be taken care of. But something I must warn Deltans, particularly the youths, says our turn, our turn, our turn. Avoid and resist being used as a thug. It is beneath you. No politician's child is a thug, meaning thuggery is not good. Yet you say, hey, where are your children? You are using for this. Where are you? How can my child be a thug? And because my child can never be a thug, I do not need a thug around me. My child will never be a thug. I do not need a thug around me. My children are in school, or we are in school, right? For that reason, I'm interested in those who want to be in school, right? I'm interested in those who want to learn skills. That you are not able to go to the university does not in any way make you less a character than the one who went to the university. It depends on what you make of yourself, of the skill you have learned. There are graduates who are learning skills from the skilled people who didn't go to the university. That's how it is worldwide. That is, remove yourself from this pool of thugs, this pool of assassins, this pool of killers, this pool of murderers, and transport yourself to the pool of development-oriented people. You see, whatever you are doing, you should be able to tell your child. Your child should be able to say it. They ask your child, what does the father do? They hired assassin. If your child cannot boast of what you are doing, do not do it. Right? Well, what society does your father belong to? My father is a knight of the Anglican Church. You are proud of it. Abi? My father is a chief in social community. You are proud of it. But to say my father is an assassin. He's the chief thug to social person. It is not good at all. And the earlier our children stop this, the better for them.